ChatGPT Unleashed. That's my topic. That's my title. That is me. My name is David. I work for Microsoft. You can find me online at these links right here. I'll actually give you a link to the slide deck. You don't have to take a picture of the slides now, but at the very end of that last link, we'll have a link to the slide deck, which means you have a link to every link in that slide deck, and so on. All right. What is ChatGPT? Why, it's a large language model developed by a company called OpenAI. It can perform all sorts of natural language processing tasks, such as chatbots, and it uses deep learning, deep learning-based unsupervised learning. How do I know that? Well, I went into ChatGPT and I asked it. I said, what is ChatGPT? And that is verbatim what it told me. I copied and pasted out there. This slide was the easiest one to create. But there are some words in there you might not understand, and so just to be safe, I'm going to give a few definitions here. The first one is generative AI. There's a lot of hype around generative AI these days, not because it's new. I mean, AI has been around for decades. Generative AI has gotten a lot more hype because of folks like OpenAI. They built ChatGPT, they built DALL-E, and Microsoft has partnered with them to deploy that onto our cloud platform, Azure, and we're building some of the tools, some of that model into some of our tools as well. So generative AI is this idea that we can generate new content, and that content can be text, it can be voice, it can be images, and we do that. It's done based on looking at lots of existing content to figure out patterns. In the case of text, which is what ChatGPT is all about, it uses large language models. And a large language model says that I'm building a model by looking at lots of information or lots of examples of human readable language, and therefore I build up a model that can understand and can generate human readable language, such as English. You may catch me occasionally saying the word English when I really mean any human readable language, but English happens to be my native tongue, so forgive me if I do that. So ChatGPT is very much built on these large language models. In fact, the name of the language model itself is GPT. What can ChatGPT do? Well, a bunch of things. One, it can understand natural language, as I said. It can understand it, and it can generate natural language. It can remember context, so that if you ask it a question and you ask a follow-up question, it understands that if you say something like this or that or the third one, it knows that you were, it remembers part of the conversation. You don't have to repeat information that you've already said. It's smart enough to allow for corrections. It is built on things that it's learned from scouring the internet. The internet, you may or may not know, sometimes is wrong. And so it might have some wrong information, but it's smart enough to accept corrections. So if you say, oh, this is wrong, please correct it, then it'll take that into consideration. Maybe the next time an answer is generated to a similar question, it'll get it right. I've seen that when I asked it to create a biography of myself, and I saw that it said the wrong university I went to, and I corrected it, and now it says the right one, which is pretty good. It is trained to decline inappropriate requests. If you ask it to tell it, something, generate some pornographic information, for example, it won't do that, or something slanderous. It generally speaking will not do that. And it's free. There is a paid version, but everything I'm going to show you today is all in the free version. It has some limitations beyond just not being able to tell dirty stories, but it can occasionally generate incorrect information. It can occasionally do biased or harmful information because it's based on the internet, which has that. And the free version only goes up to 2021. So if you ask it who won the Super Bowl last year, it shouldn't be able to understand that, to answer that question, but it would be know who won it in 2020. I actually don't remember who won it in 2020, but all right. All right, to get it really started, this is the link right here, chat.openai.com. I signed up late last year, and it did have a waiting period, but the waiting period was less than a day before it sent me an email saying, okay, you're active, you can pay for it. I think it's like $20 a month to pay for the newer version of it, but I'm using the free version right here, and you can do, once you do that, or actually let me click on it here just to show it to you really quickly. Is it, I'm gonna drag that over to my, I don't know how to drag the mouse. I'll show you in a second here. I'll come back to that. I'm using the extend version here. To make it work for you, let's see, here's the thing to do. If you're a software developer, which I assume some of you are, it can help you to generate code and to understand code and to write automated tests. I'll show you some examples of these in the limited time that I have. If you are, if you're not a software developer, but you have a job, it can do things like writing articles for you, writing emails for you, reading emails for you, writing a job description, if we create your resume for you. It's really good at things like that. If you are trying to learn, you can ask it to explain a complex topic, which can save you a lot of time of using your favorite search engine, reading a whole bunch of articles. It's already read those articles and give you a summary of what a complex topic is. If you want to learn something, you want to learn how to play the harmonica, it can give you a lesson plan for doing that. It can actually generate quizzes. I want to learn something. I think I'm learning something. However, give me some quizzes so I can figure out some questions that I can answer. Tell me if I'm right or not. Let me know where I'm weak. Things like that. And then there's just some fun things you can do with it. It can pretend like it's an actual person and have an actual conversation with you. You have to tell it the topic. You have to tell it what its role is. It can tell jokes or funny stories, and there's some creative things you can do that I'm going to show you as well. It generally outputs text, but you can do things like output things in a table or in ASCII art. All sorts of cool things like that. All right, I'm almost at the end of my slides here. If you want to maximize your experience with ChatGPT, the best thing you can do is to be as specific as possible. What is it that you want the ChatGPT to answer? Be clear about that and provide specific examples, not examples, but specific qualifiers as to what you want. Provide some context about where to find information. If you know some information you want to take into account, list that information. Define who the audience is. If the answer could be very different, the text generator can be very different if you're speaking to a bunch of academics versus you're speaking to 7th graders. Maybe you want to generate something that's simplified and scaled down. So say my audience is 7th graders. Define it that way. Tell it who the speaker is. Are you an expert or are you a comedian? It'll change the tone and where it's coming from. And experiment a little bit. Just try different conversation starters. Ask some open-ended questions. Find out what it is. Just play around with it a little bit. Get more familiar with it. Be open-minded about what you can do with it. There's all sorts of games that you can try with this. And then finally, it might not be gospel. It might not be 100% correct. So just accept that everything it is, if you verify that it has to be, especially if it's something you're not really well versed in. If you find errors, correct it. Let it know that it's wrong. All right, there are some few ethical questions I want to bring up here. These are questions, not answers. Do we want? If I'm a student, can I let it do my homework? If I have an essay to write, this isn't really. I'm not a student anymore, but I do have an active blog. Theoretically, I could just say, write me a blog post on this topic, and then I can copy and paste that and pretend that it's my own original work. That to me, that feels wrong. I don't really do that. But I would write me an outline on the blog post, and then I can start from that. Or here's my blog post. Make it sound more professional. That feels okay. There's some middle ground there. There's a big controversy right now among creators of content, screenwriters and authors. How much credit should they get from the data the text that's generated via ChatGPT or other generative text tools? Are we stealing from them by doing so? And then of course, can I trust it? And I've already chosen that. You cannot 100% trust it. It's good, but it's not perfect. All right, here's an example of something I did here. I have a presentation that introduces ChatGPT and shows many examples of using ChatGPT with help with software development, common business tasks, and writing. I also show some fun and silly ways to use ChatGPT, and I will show many examples as part of the presentation. Write an abstract. And this abstract should contain fewer than 150 words, and this is the abstract that appears in the LambdaConf schedule. I let ChatGPT write that for me. I don't think it's unethical because I'm telling you that now. Same thing with the title. The title came from ChatGPT. This one I actually had to generate a couple times. I didn't like the first few ones it gave, but it finally gave me this one. I said, that's it. Copy, paste, take credit for it. I'm done with that part of it here. I do want to speak a little bit about OpenAI and Microsoft. As I said, I work for Microsoft, and we do have a partnership. And I use that word very deliberately. We didn't buy OpenAI. We invested in them. They're deploying their models to Microsoft Azure, so they get the scalability and reliability of it. And then Microsoft benefits from this because we're taking a lot of this technology and a lot of these models that are built and putting it into our products like Azure OpenAI Studio and all the Copilot products that you'll be hearing about. I'm not going to talk about today, but All sorts of things going on. All right, time to do some demos here. I'm 10 minutes into this 20-minute presentation. One disclaimer, I pretty much stole all these demos. I just kept my eyes open. I said, hey, whenever I saw something that was interesting, I just made a note of it, and those are what my demos are. Even this, I didn't steal this image right here, but I went into DALL-E, which is another tool of OpenAI that generates this image, and I said, hey, give me a burglar stealing from ChatGPT. So to get started with these demos, what I'm going to do is I'll go to chat.openai.com, and I think I need to do something like that right there. Let's see. Here we go. And generally when I do this, I do live demos in here. This talk is usually an hour long. However, there's some latency in this. You know, if I say, let me ask a real quick question. Why should I attend LambdaConf? In fact, maybe not why, but should I attend LambdaConf? This might be a good question here. And that actually came back pretty quick. This is as fast as I've ever seen it here. And here it talks about, you know, reasons why. This might be a good thing to send to your manager when you're trying to justify the expense of going to a conference right here. So pretty nice things. What I'm going to do is not do it this way. Instead, I stayed up late the other night just writing in a bunch of prompts, and I pasted them into my slide deck. Because that way you don't have to waste time seeing me type things in, and if there's any latency in the network, you won't have to worry about that either. So what I'm going to do here is just show you some sample prompts right here. And if we have time, I'll do some live ones here. And the last 5 minutes, they said to reserve the last 5 minutes for Q&A. We can do that, or else what would be cool is if you could just tell me some of the prompts that you've used. All right, another time check here, 12 minutes so far. All right, let's go. Can I do this shift function F5? Is that going to work? That did work. All right. All right, so here's a good one. How many software developers are there in the room? People here that write software for a living. Almost everybody here. So this is relevant to you, I think. You know, something like, I want to delete a row in MongoDB using PHP. I picked these because I hardly ever work with MongoDB or PHP. They're technologies that are just, I'm not really that familiar with. And yeah, I could go into my favorite search engine, Bing, and look for syntax and how to call these APIs, or I could just get a head start with something like this. Just ask this question, and you can see that it gave me sample code. There's even a button at the top that says copy that code. Below that, there's an explanation of the code right here. It's really a nice learning material or learning tool for you. And even if I do know these things, it might be just kind of boilerplate plumbing code that I don't like to type. It can get me started right there. I may need to change it. You can see there's actually a URL of the location of the MongoDB database. That probably is not where mine is, so I probably have to edit it a little bit, but it did get me part of the way there. It'll save me a lot of time in typing and learning. Here's another one here. I want to just generate some sample data in CSV format. And I can say something like generate sample baseball statistics data as a CSV, output 20 records. And here's it. I didn't tell it PHP because the last question was in PHP. It assumes that's the same language I'm sticking with, and it created a function of this. I could even tell it to show me the output of this, and it would actually give me a file that a comma separated value file for that. Right here, I can ask it, you know, where can I find this on the web? Here's some C# code. If I didn't want PHP, generate some C# code, output 1,000 records. Again, C# code, I can bump that right in and copy it into my code and get started. It saves me a lot of time on this. Or here we go, find a public data set with baseball. So maybe I don't want to generate it because there are out there. There are data sets out there already. Let me just go right there and it told me, oh, Laman baseball data. There's even a link to it right here. Grab that, download it. I didn't specify it should be free. This one happens to be free, but maybe more specific would be give me a free public data set. Write Python code to import this data set. Again, sample code here. And do EDA, exploratory data analysis on this data set, and it can give me some information about that. Let's see what else. Oh, some business prompts. I'm going to go through these. I'm not going to be able to do some live ones because I only have about 5 minutes left here. But here's one. So you're not a programmer. You're just anybody. You could be a programmer. But I have a sick child. I cannot make the meeting. Write a professional email saying I cannot make it. Keep it to 4 sentences or less. How much time do we spend? It probably would take me 10, 15 minutes to think of that email. I want it to be professional. I'm sending it to my boss. Maybe I'll send it to a customer. This can get me started. Save me a ton of times on this thing here. Write a professional bio for me. put that in my, if I wanted to have an abstract, or in this, there's a bio of me, I think, on the LambdaConf website, or I would put it on my LinkedIn profile. Really nice stuff here. This is the one that originally it said that I attended a different university. I told them to correct that, and it did. I can even do it, have some fun with that. Write a professional bio as a haiku. David Giard thrives, speaks, tech sage, wordsmith, guiding light, innovation's voice. Haikus are great. Write a bio in the voice of Foghorn Leghorn. I'll say David Giard, yeah, folks. You can have some fun with this. Creative writing. I do a lot of writing. I have an active blog, and I submit. I write about technology. I write about books and movies and travel, all sorts of things on here. But you can do this thing here. Here's something that I would take advantage of. Write an outline. I want to write an article about Kubernetes. Give me an outline for that article, just to get me started, to get me kick-started on it. And this is an outline. I told it 5 bullet points, and this is a good Kickstarter for it. I wouldn't have it write the article for me. That seems wrong. Maybe I'm writing, I have a newsletter, and I just want to have some topics for that newsletter. I'm running out of ideas, or maybe I just don't have time to think of those ideas really quickly. 5 ideas here. I told them I'm a software engineer who teaches DevOps. I'm being specific about what I want. Recommendations here. I like this movie. Can you recommend some others like it? Here we go. Here's some letters. You like this quirky big fish movie here. Let's come up with some other ones that you might like that are also quirky and well done and well photographed. Right here. I actually did this one. I bought an espresso machine recently. I drink lots of espresso. It's my biggest vice, but relatively benign vice. And I wanted to buy one, and I had a price range, and it gave me some recommendations on here that narrowed down my search about what I want to do. My son's birthday is next week. Probably wouldn't be as with my son, but maybe my nephew. I don't know as well. I just know he loves basketball. His birthday's next. What should I get him? Here's some ideas for what to get him for his birthday, with some text among those. Some other prompts here. Let's see. What are some good conversation starters on a first date? We're not born knowing this stuff. This would be. This is actually, I read through this. It's actually some pretty good advice. Talk about the things that are common interests. Talk about their career, their education, your shared experiences. Great stuff. I'm going to Portugal. I actually went to Portugal last year, but I'm going there. Give me an itinerary. What should I do? I've never been to Portugal before. Tell me what are some good things to do to get me kick-started on this vacation. And here it is. It's a full itinerary for a 3-day vacation. Maybe I'm gone for 2 weeks. I want a 2-week itinerary. It can get really explicit on that. I'm moving to Denver next week. I'm not really moving to Denver, but if I am, I don't know anybody in Denver. How am I going to make friends? And then there's some advice, some good advice. Join a social group, take a class, volunteer, attend networking events. And finally, we got some fun things we can do here. Tell me a joke about artificial intelligence. And I came up with it. Why was the computer cold? Because it left its windows open. What would happen if the moon were made of cheese? It would be pretty great. Oh, another dad joke. But I imagine there would be a lot of lunar cravings for crackers and wine. All right. And this one is cool. You can draw an ASCII dinosaur. Let's tell it to draw an ASCII dinosaur. It'll actually do ASCII art for you. Learning prompts here. I want to learn to play the piano. I'm a complete beginner. Create a 30-day learning plan that will help me learn and improve. Anything you want to learn and you just want something to Kickstarter, this is a great use for it. I want to learn quantum computing. Identify what's important. What's the real core of quantum computing? I can't understand. I recognize I'm not going to learn everything about it in the first couple of months. It's a complex topic. Tell me the high points, the key points. I'm learning about Docker. Ask me a series of questions to test my knowledge, and then identify the gaps in those knowledge. And here we are. Here's a bunch of questions. You can answer those questions, and it'll give you an idea of where you are. What do you know well? What do you need to learn more of? And then some miscellaneous stuff here. This is really cool. Summarize the winners and losers of the NCAA Division I men's basketball Final Four for 2000 and 2001 into tabular form with titles champion, runner-up, final score, other teams, location, and MVP. And I truncated this. I actually had output it in tabular format as well. And it gave it in this tabular form, which is really, really cool. The output options are awesome. All right, and let's see. I think what's a word that describes? This happens all the time. I've forgotten this. I know the definition. I've forgotten the word. You can tell the definition. It'll say the word. All right, there's that. And we got about 5 minutes left here. So you take a question, or if somebody has a really cool prompt they want to share with me, I might totally steal it and put it the next time I give this presentation. You in the back, sir.
Oh, sorry, this is a question, not a prompt, although
Okay.
I guess.
Okay, I might steal that too.
I guess we could ask these questions as prompts and see what ChatGPT says. But so you mentioned that there are ethical questions. I don't know if they're still open questions, or like I know there are open legal questions about the data that it's trained on. Do owners of that data have certain rights to the stuff generated, whatever.
Yeah.
Putting aside both that open legal question and the ethical questions you listed, does OpenAI do they I don't know what the word is, absolve? Basically, do they guarantee that they won't claim ownership of anything that we generate with ChatGPT, or is that still a TBD?
The question is, so I think to paraphrase your question is, are they giving a legal guarantee that this is not plagiarism?
No. So that was something you had addressed as a unclear thing. I mean, are they guaranteeing that they won't? Well, that you're not plagiarizing them, right? And that they won't in the future be like, oh, you've used stuff you generated on our site. We now want you to pay us.
I haven't seen the legal document behind OpenAI, but I've never heard of them of OpenAI suing anybody for copying and pasting their information and publishing.
So at least your sense is
however,
that they are,
and they've said that they're not copying and pasting. They are assembling and aggregating and summarizing information that's on the web. But I don't know if that's been a guarantee at all. I don't know if they've explicitly said that.
Okay.
I know that Microsoft has some tools that if you buy the enterprise tool, they have some guarantees that say, if you get sued for copying somebody else's code, we will defend you.
So right, yeah, I don't mean that. I mean OpenAI or Microsoft with Copilot.
Yeah, I'd have to look at the fine print here.
They're
So
not
it's a valid
claiming
question, and I don't even see where the, if they have that, would probably be in the paid plan. They tend to be more, there's a ChatGPT, it's probably in the GPT Enterprise. So here it's $20 a month for regular, and then the team's $24 a month. And here you might get some
But yeah, I don't mean protection from data owners that it was trained on, but I mean are they offering the stuff that you create with prompts? And
yeah, as far as I know, you're able to copy and paste it for free, and people are doing that all the time.
Okay, cool.
And I've never heard of any case where OpenAI went after anybody for that.
Thanks.
Screenwriters are going after people for that. They're not for that. They go after OpenAI. That's still an open legal question. We had another question right here. This young lady.
So you mentioned earlier that you can actually make correction to ChatGPT if it made a mistake.
Yeah.
So is there any policy protecting the OpenAI from potential malicious bad actors trying to purposely feed wrong information? For example, about you saying you have criminal record even though you obviously do not, and is it subjected to some kind of defamation protection? I don't know.
I know there's some sort of vetting on it, because when I corrected it for myself, it wasn't corrected immediately. It took a couple of weeks before the correction appeared in there. So there must be some vetting process on the back end. I don't know if it's a human being or some automated correction service. Again, I don't know what their guarantee, what their promises are on the back end. And other than they have said, we're not gospel. We are, we're capable of making a mistake. We're close. We'll get you partway there, but trust but verify. We have about 1 minute left. If there are other questions or prompts you want to share. All right, thanks so much for coming to my very first LambdaConf presentation. I promised I would show you the link to these slides. Let me do that right now. There is a slide right here with not only a link, there we go, it's right there. So there's a tiny URL, or you can take a picture of that barcode, and that'll have a link to these slides as well, along with a bunch of prompts in here. Thanks so much.